Overboring Revisited. Okay, a few years ago, oh boy, probably about a year and a half ago, I did a video on underboring versus overboring and what my personal preference was. Now, times have changed in paintball, okay? Back then, here in Florida, the average paint size here in Florida was about a 691, okay? I know this because I've got bore sizing kits and all sorts of 689 barrels and 93 and 91 barrels and stuff like that. So I was able to take a look and see it. Most of the paint that I was shooting here in Florida, this included Severe, EXO, RPS, Draxus, you name it. Okay, most of the paint that I was shooting was averaging between 689 to 691 when I originally did the video on what bore size should you choose. Now that was pretty universal across the board. In other places in the country I went and played, paint was also boring out on the standard, which was a 689 to around a 691. I allowed 2/100ths of an inch for the humidity, which swelled the balls here in Florida. So what's going on right now? Now that advice is not good anymore, okay? I used to tell people buy a 693 barrel. Why? Most of the paint that was coming out of the factories was between a 689 to a 691. That left you a little bit of room in the barrel for, a little bit maybe oblong paint, left you a little bit of room for any sort of irregular paint and stuff like that. But nowadays, it is a different market. It is a different ball than it was when I originally made that video. So, the advice that I have is not going to be good for the next 100 years. Things are going to change, and this is one of the things that are going to change. Paint companies now are intentionally making the balls a lot smaller than they used to. Paint originally used to be the standard bore size, used to be 0.689. That used to be the standard bore size. You used to be able to take a 689 barrel and any average paint, put it in there, and most of the time it would hold on there, it would grip it. Not anymore. Paint nowadays, from what I've seen, this includes RPS, which we're going to show here in a second. This includes Draxus. This includes quite a few of the other paints that are on the market right now that I've seen, is boring out at sometimes 682 and smaller. It's tiny. Everyone's like, oh, 50 caliber. Okay. If they keep shrinking the paintballs, we're going to be at 50 caliber before we even know it. Okay, so the 689 is no longer the standard. So what you need to do nowadays is you need to take a look at what kind of paint are you shooting, and double check and make sure that you're not shooting 682 paint through a 693 barrel. It's like some of the stock Planet Eclipse barrels right now, 693 bore. I mean, you can almost stack two balls on top of each other. I mean, that's how small the paint is getting. So for instance, let's take a look. RPS. 2 years ago, I could have sworn, on a stack of Bibles, that premium was boring out at about a 690. I used to love buying this stuff, back a few years ago and stuff like that. It always, on an 89 barrel, it gripped. This is the Freak insert, this is a 682, okay? 682, let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Okay, this is the 682 Freak insert. And you're gonna see, actually that one gripped pretty good, but blows right through. 682 looks like that's a good match for that one. That one gripped a little bit more. But this paint right now, 682 would be about a good insert size for this paint. Oh, that one's a little bit tough. Yeah, so that one's a little bit tough. So this one, that paint probably bored out about 684. But you can still blow it through. Back a few years ago, you couldn't even imagine trying to shove a 689 bore paint through a 692 insert. These inserts used to go in the trash. Not anymore. Now the paint is so small that it'll actually grip it. There it goes. It finally comes out. So with that being said, definitely double check the kind of paint that you're going to be using. If there's a standard field paint, take a look at that and double check the bore sizes now, because the advice that I originally gave the TechPB community of buying a 693 barrel isn't good advice anymore. You want to be going with probably an 86 barrel or an 89 barrel, but just double check the paint that you have. If it's a 689 and you're watching the paint just drop right through, now obviously you may want to consider going down to like a 686. There's a lot of companies that make custom products. $30, you can get a cheap 12 or 14 inch 686 classic barrel for like 30 bucks. It's a really good deal, and that's about it. So I wanted to revisit that video, the barrel bore video. Also check out Punkworks. Gordon and Bryce did a great study on efficiency versus accuracy and stuff like that, so you'll take a look at it. For me, I always like my paint just to barely roll through. For me, that's how I've always liked it. Here in Florida, it works really, really well. They've got some great data that may show the otherwise. They tend to like the underboring a little bit more consistency, a little better air efficiency. Just depends which way you want to go, but definitely check out the data over at Punkworks. They did a great job. They got a nice little spreadsheet. If you got any questions on it, post it up in the Punkworks forum, but definitely be double checking your paint that you're using right now to make sure you're getting the correct fit. Thank you.